What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Dan and welcome back to yet another video. Now, I've got a bit of a confession to make. I've had to wait an extra few days to make this video because I was trimming the old beard up at the weekend, trying to make myself look a bit more presentable because I was on the visual looking homeless, and I took a chunk out of my beard, which meant I had to take the entire thing off, which left me looking like a 12-year-old boy. And there was no way was I going to get back behind the camera looking like a prepubescent teenager until some bum fluff had grown back. Now that it's just about long enough to hide the double chin that I've still not burnt off from Christmas from all the cheese that I ate, I've decided to use the last few days wisely and dust off what is probably the most extravagant tech purchase I've ever made, which is this, a Canon Cinema Prime lens. Now, to find out what makes this lens so much better than conventional photography lenses, and obviously why it's going to make me a better YouTuber, let's talk some tech and get into the nitty gritty and find out just what is so good about Canon Cinema Prime lenses. So a photography telephoto lens has a range of focal lengths over which it is usable. I'm shooting this at the minute on a Canon L series 24-105 photography lens, and this is, like I say, a range of focal lengths, whereas a conventional photography prime lens has one fixed focal length over which it's usable. These conventional prime lenses have quite a short focus pull and are typically much cheaper than cinema prime lenses. Cinema primes like this one, although not this one exactly, can run into the tens of thousands of pounds for the much more desired higher end ones. It's this price point that makes cinema prime lenses typically reserved for professional video shoots. Now, a cinema prime has a really long focus pull, unlike a photography prime, which tends to be quite short. The reason the cinema prime has a really long focus pull is it allows the lens to focus on really minute areas of detail with real high accuracy. They also have hard stops on the focus pull gear tooth and the aperture gear tooth. This lets the camera operator know when they're at the minimum and maximum exposure extents. Not something that's typically found on photography prime lenses. Now, I'm obviously not a professional, so you might ask, what business have I got owning one of these? Well, I like it because I like the idea of technology being able to enhance what we're capable of, rather than making life easier. I wouldn't say that using this lens actually makes my life any easier, because its lack of autofocus makes it quite challenging to use. But more on that later on. So why are cinema primes typically reserved for professional productions, aside from obviously their price? Whilst an L series photography Canon lens, like the one I'm using to record this video on, are made from a magnesium frame, they have a hard, durable plastic outer body and obviously a glass lens front. These cinema primes, on the other hand, are made entirely from magnesium and aluminium. The only plastic you'll find on these is the hard lens cover at the front and the plastic cap which protects the connector to the camera body. And these lenses are heavy, really heavy. It sounds stupid, but you can actually feel the build quality to them, and you can just tell that they're built to last. They're obviously built to withstand the rigours of a professional shoot, but there is no way that I'll be putting this lens through its physical test. It's the centrepiece to my camera kit, and I genuinely think I'd cry if I even scratched the main body of this lens. A conventional photography prime lens is going to be manufactured in a factory. Whilst these are nominally the same shape, size and weight, there are some quite big differences between each individual lens. A cinema prime, on the other hand, will be manufactured in batches, especially the glass. These are built by hand, which contributes to the price point, but they weigh the same, they look the same, and everything is in the same place on every single lens. Now, the reason for this is, on a professional video shoot, a director of photography or cinematography may need to switch out a 35mm lens for a 135mm lens. And that is because they will need to use a range of focal lengths to capture the shots to tell the story that their production is out to record. Having lenses which are identical to each other in shape, size and weight saves a lot of time in not needing to change camera rig setups, where the motors for the gear teeth will be in a set position, and it also saves having to change exposure settings for differences in glass quality and clarity between one lens to another. Unlike conventional photography lenses, cinema primes do not have autofocus. This is because they are designed to be used by professionals who may want to focus on specific minute areas of detail, or may need to pull focus to a different subject in the shot much quicker than what the inbuilt autofocus capabilities of a particular camera can offer. This means that this lens is typically reserved for what I call my video setup. That is, it's attached to my Canon R3 camera and a tripod, and the size and the weight of this lens means it's not really practical for taking out and vlogging, or at least filming myself whilst out in public. This, connected to my Canon R3 and Adobe GorillaPod at arm's length, would mean I'd need arms the size of Arnie back in his Mr. Olympia bodybuilding days to be able to practically wield this. The lack of autofocus means I'd need to get the shot set up perfectly. When you're out vlogging in public, you need a photography lens that's got autofocus capabilities, which allows you to adapt to changing dynamic environments more readily. I'm still yet to build the confidence to go and vlog in public, and this current setup is far too obvious and would draw far too much attention to me trying to video myself. I'd much prefer something a bit more discreet at the minute, like a GoPro on a little tripod, rather than taking out this big bulky camera setup. The lack of autofocus though is great for a studio setup. It really makes me think about the shot, how I'm going to frame it and what exposure settings I need to use. It may take a few retakes sometimes, but when I nail that shot, it's incredibly satisfying and really does set the footage that's captured with this cinema prime lens apart from the footage that's captured on my conventional photography lenses. Anyway, I think that's enough about me waffling on about this cinema prime lens in this video. If you found this video interesting, I'd highly recommend you go and check out the other tech related videos on the channel. Hit that subscribe button, smash it should you so wish, and until next time, see you then.